Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another LP Alliance Solidarity stream. We are LP Alliance, an intercaucus coalition rebuilding the Libertarian Party and revolutionizing the Liberty Movement. My name is Amanda Griffiths. I'm joined by Kyle Davis. We are also joined by Cara Schulz tonight, who is in Minnesota. And Cara, thank you for being here. I want to just get started. And for people who don't know who you are, tell us a bit about your history in the Liberty Movement, Libertarian Party.
Sure. Okay, so I chaired the Gary Johnson campaign in Minnesota for both of his presidential runs. Worked on other state campaigns in the Libertarian Party. I am an elected official. I was elected in 2016 at Burnsville City Council. And I'm now in my third term. And I did work for LP National as a candidate recruiter, trainer, and political strategist. So I went around and taught libertarians. And in fact, I will be going to North Carolina to train candidates as well. So yeah, that's kind of my background.
Which Rob Yates actually asked us if we could make sure to give a shout out to the fact that you're going to be at the North Carolina convention. So that, well done. You have taken care of that one for us. So one of the things that we really wanted to talk about is the situation in Minneapolis and ICE in Minnesota in general. You posted a pretty good thing on Facebook yesterday. Yes, yesterday. The days are blending together. I'm sorry.
Boy, aren't they?
Are they? Yeah.
And it was pretty good. But since that was just a Facebook audience, we wanted to make sure to rebroadcast that to our audience and try to get that same message out to everybody, especially like, it's personal to everybody in LPA for the situation with ICE. But I'm in Atlanta, and so the people that are currently leaving Minneapolis are coming here. So being prepared down here would be perfect. So can you kind of go through, we've seen Kash Patel and Donald Trump's big, these secret signal groups run by the elite. So can you tell us about these incredible Illuminati-based secret groups?
You are part of these. Now? You are part of these secret groups. Is that correct? You're part of these Soros-funded secret signal groups.
Yes, and I was in them for several weeks.
Excellent.
And then I got booted.
Oh dear.
Because I'm not a Democrat.
A libertarian getting booted from something? I don't believe it.
Yeah, I know, right? And yeah, I mean, watching the president and Kash Patel and these other semi-news groups and that type of stuff talk about these signal groups in the most boomer damn way I have ever heard. They're on the signal. I'm just like,
the kids are using the signal. It's like email, but more secret.
Right. And
as we saw, they are very good at signal and accidentally adding journalists to signal.
Yes. At least we weren't doing military secrets on signal, but whatever. So when they're talking about these signal groups, in most libertarians know signal because it's just texting, but it's encrypted texting, right? And you can set your messages to disappear or keep them to not disappear. And, they're having all of this, like it's a super gotcha moment that people are part of these groups, and people are coordinating legal activities. It is very clear that you're only going to talk about legal activities. You're not going to talk about violent activities. And you're going to organize in three different ways. You're either going to be a helper, which means you go get groceries for people, or you walk a kid to school, or you're volunteering, right? So those are your helpers. Getting protest information out. And this is actual protests, like at the Whipple building, at the airport, that type of thing, or like a local protest in your area. And they're like, oh, heads up, there's a protest at this time. And if you want to go, and we'll carpool. Like, it's a lot of carpooling shit. Like, that's what it is. Or who's going to ride because we're going to get coffee at Caribou first. Like, that's a lot of the conversation. Like, yeah, super secret stuff. And then
that doesn't sound anything like lizard people, sacrificing people and eating them. I don't understand.
I'm in the lizard people groups, so that's a different group.
And then you have like the third area that they organize around, which is basically it's a neighborhood watch. Like, it's just a neighborhood watch program. And I know they're talking about, they're insurrectionists and blah. No, like literally it's organizing so that we can watch government workers working in public and videotape it. Like, that's what it is. And you know what? That's legal. It is legal to film government workers doing their work in public. It is legal, if you follow all the traffic rules, to follow ICE agents or border patrol as they go around. That is legal activity. So everything that they're talking about, and these are open chats. So like pretty much anyone can join. They're going to let them in. So it's not like secret stuff is happening there. The assumption is that everyone's going to know what's happening and that kind of stuff. The other thing they're freaking out about is they think because people know who are ICE because of their license plate numbers, that people are getting access to a DMV database. And that's not it. It's a Google spreadsheet. And when you see, it's an ICE car because you can see the agents in it and that kind of stuff. You'll see people go around to the front and back and take a picture. And they take a picture of the license plate. They take a picture of the car. Someone texts that information in and they just put it in a Google spreadsheet. So then even if you're swapping license plates on cars, as you're driving around and there's like a shady looking car, two dudes with ski masks on, you can check the license number and then, oh, yep, that is a ICE agent. And so, just follow them around. And if they stop, record their activities. Like, that's really it. It's not that sexy.
And how did you, I want to joke and say infiltrate, but how did you start interacting with these groups? How did you find out about them? What was your objective there? And what role have you had?
If you go into like pretty much any Facebook community group and you just say, hey, someone throw me the link for the Signal group for our area, someone is going to PM you a link.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's literally it.
So
hard to infiltrate.
Right.
So what you're saying here is that the most powerful surveillance state and spy group in the world should be able to figure out how to get in this and watch this if they really felt like.
Exactly. And it's just volunteers. It's people in your community that are just volunteering for stuff. That's all it is. It's like an old-fashioned phone tree where people are organizing carpools and snacks and,
Well, no, because I saw there are Pop-Tarts, and wherever there are Pop-Tarts, that means that there's been some heavy like Mossad funding going on,
right.
Pulling out all the stops. But so you're saying that it's fairly simple. You just end up in one of these groups. What I heard was that initially there was a little bit of a struggle to get organized. Is that true? How did that play out?
Yeah, I mean, weeks ago when I first entered into the chat, things were a little more disorganized. People were trying to figure out what to do and who does what and what should we be doing. And, and what was neat is what happened was spontaneous order, which is something like libertarians are always looking for, We always say people will figure it out. Like, people will self-organize. And that is exactly what has happened. And you do have a lot of, you have a lot of moms in these groups, frankly. Like you have a lot of moms. And a lot of moms are getting involved because they're seeing that their friends, classmates just aren't at school anymore. Like in our areas, we're having between 20 and 40% of the students not at school because it's too frightening of a prospect for them to go to school, right? Everyone's holding up in their house. And these are not all illegals by any means. Like these are green card holders. Some of them are naturalized citizens. Some of them are born here citizens. It's just, but that's how dangerous it is. But you have a lot of moms. And I mean, like if you ever have a kid in any kind of sport or something like that, like it's the moms organizing everything. Like they're figuring out the carpooling. They make sure everyone has their equipment. They have the snacks ready. They have, right? So like they just take it and organize it. And, you know, kind of the joke around here is, you know, the Marines say that they can have, you know, like a little mini base set up anywhere in the world in 48 hours. Well, the Lutheran moms here can do it in 36. So.
You also talked about being at the protests.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I'm very interested in because I intend to be at protests. I don't know if you've been following any of the stuff going on with me. I had back surgery recently. I'm finally back on my feet and moving around again. But we'll be, you know, out very soon. They are just northwest of Atlanta, here in Georgia, which they're choosing on purpose. That's an area that's a little more. So it's for those who have never like gone outside of the airport of Atlanta, basically. Northeast Atlanta tends to be where it's very heavy in Asian immigrants.
Yeah.
And Northwest Atlanta, just outside Atlanta, tends to be very, very waspy, very white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. But then just past them, there's a large Latino area. And so that's where they've set up. They've set up around Woodstock and Kennesaw for that reason.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the Libertarian Party of Georgia has been looking at how to get involved and active, and we've reached out to a bunch of groups to make sure that we are getting the right ideas. And Starfield just mentioned that he's going to be at No Kings 3.0, which is in March, and we will be talking more about as we get closer because LPA will be there. And so I wanted to know what your experience has been like at those protests. From your eyes and ears, does it seem like ICE is the good guys and the protesters are the ones causing the problem? Are the protesters never in the wrong and they're perfect and ICE is always the problem? Where's kind of that breakdown? And obviously I know you're not everywhere at every time, but from your experience and what you've seen.
So here's the challenge with any type of protest. And first I want to define like what is a protest and what isn't. So when you're seeing when ICE is doing some type of enforcement and all the people show up with whistles and that kind of stuff, that's not a protest. That and people are incorrectly labeling that a protest. That is neighborhood watch. What's neighborhood watch? Okay, a protest though, like at the Whipple building or that type of thing, or a march, I'm going to tell people go into this eyes wide open. It is violent, and there are no rules. There are no rules on this. Many of us in the Libertarian Party, we've done plenty of protests, like plenty of like direct action, all that kind of stuff, right? And usually there are kind of agreed upon rules, right? So you have, you know, the feds are here, protesters are here, and there's that strip that kind of no one crosses, right? Or you have a march happening and they're going down
the DMZ.
Yeah. Okay. Everyone kind of has their area, right? And, you know, you'll see like at protests and that kind of stuff, sometimes a protester will cross into like the no man's land or that kind of stuff. But that's fairly uncommon, right? That's why it gets the video, because it's uncommon. But what we're seeing is intentional and random violating of those protest norms. And that is by ICE and Border Patrol. And what they will do is things are fine. People are yelling, people are protesting, they're holding their signs, they're doing whatever, singing songs. And periodically, and there's no rhyme or reason to it, ICE will start lobbing tear gas and smoke. And then they rush out and they will randomly grab one person. Like they go into where the protesters are who have segmented themselves away, and they will grab a person. And that freaks everyone out. Like everyone starts screaming, some people are running, other people are trying to grab their person back. And that's exactly, so ICE wants that video because they take that little segment of video and they pump it out into their social media. The other thing that it does is they drag that person back behind their lines and they take them away somewhere. They usually hold them anywhere from like 3 hours to 8 hours. That's the usual amount of time. And notice like there's a usual amount of time. Like we're so used to this that things are now like, oh, okay, you know, they don't charge them with anything because there's nothing to charge them with. They have no access.
Nor does ICE have the power to charge them with anything.
No, they
ICE
don't.
doesn't have the ability to enforce law other than
They do not.
immigration law.
Exactly, and they know that. But they will not allow you access to an attorney. They will not allow you access to a bathroom. They will not. I mean, it's not a good time. Also, often these people are injured, and then they'll be let go. But oftentimes they're let go without their ID, without their phone. We're seeing sometimes without a coat even. They'll take their coat. And then they just shove them out like super late at night or early in the morning. And so we now have volunteers who are, this is part of the volunteer thing. They're at the Whipple building 24/7, and their only job is to watch for when people are being released and get a blanket around them and figure out who they are and get them home. So like, again, this is becoming so normal that there's now a process for this. So I'm telling you, if they're coming to your area, this may be what you're going to face. So have a heads up on this. And they do not care if you are young or 70 or it does not matter. And it is a very, very, very violent, aggressive.
Sorry.
That's my fault. I'm
Gosh,
sorry.
Kyle.
So
I dropped something on my keyboard to change scenes. I apologize, everyone.
I was so terrified that I don't. Sorry, violent, aggressive.
yes.
Um,
So it is. It's very violent and aggressive what they do. If you're in a protest march, depending, maybe totally fine. Then again, it might not. They do facial recognition photos on everyone, so they will have all of your information. They do things like if you are videotaping them or you go to a protest or something like that, they like to come up to you and use your first name, like to let you know they know who you are. Like these are pretty awful intimidation tactics. And I mean, when you're in protest, you're used to like the protesters yelling awful crap, right? Maybe not the best thing to do. However, what you will also see is you will see these agents yell the most vile crap you've ever heard. Like, I'm gonna fuck your sister, and you know, like I just like crap that you're like never heard that from a Fed or law enforcement. Wow, that's sure interesting. So they'll recite your address, your home address to you.
as someone who like never does the facial recognition at airports and technically doesn't live at my official address, I'm wondering how much I can get away with. But you said that they target people seemingly, or rather they come and they'll grab someone at random.
It's very random.
So that was my question: is do they seem to have a type of person that they target?
No,
Okay.
it's very random, and it's purposefully random because that makes everyone more fearful. Because again, there's no rules. Like, how do you keep yourself safe? There is no way to keep yourself safe. So like, I want to be
Are
clear
they?
to people. If you are going out to these protests, or you're going to help get groceries, or you're going to videotape, there are no rules and there is no way to keep yourself safe. Just you
Are they?
know that going in.
Have you seen people who are open carrying and armored, those sorts of things, to the protests?
You know, we haven't seen too much open carrying. I think we're just starting to see a little bit of that. We are a state that you can open carry or you can conceal carry with your permit, right? And so for people that are conceal carrying, you know, you don't know that, like, you know, and
Sure.
I mean, like, we have rallies where we open carry in the Capitol building. Like, it's not a weird thing here. So everyone having the vapors over, oh my God, you know, someone brought which they're also saying it was a protest. It was not a protest. It was not a protest that Renee Good was at. It was not. That was Neighborhood Watch. It was not a protest that Alex was at. That was Neighborhood Watch. Like, you get an alert on your phone and it says, oh, ICE is in the neighborhood. And people will be there like that. And they're all videotaping. And for people that say, just stay home, I don't know what, the fact that we're seeing so much violence going on and 2 deaths, that's why people are out videotaping. Like, that's why they have to. Because if you'll notice, ICE will not wear body cams. Some border patrol do, but it's only like one unit that has them. They purposefully are not they don't have body cams. That is a policy choice.
So you're talking about getting these alerts on your phones. I assume that that's the same sorts of groups that that you're joining, the Signal group. So you have someone in the group saying, okay, they're here, and then you dispatch. Do you ever, or have you ever heard of people getting confronted on the way, right? So if they're at a particular location, you're heading over there, are there ever checkpoints? Are there places where you're stopped? Is there a way to interface with ICE, you know, when that happens?
So they are starting to do things like they'll close off blocks and they're going door to door. So for anyone that thinks,
Also super illegal.
it's good times. So anyone that thinks that ICE and Border Patrol have a list of people, that is not accurate. That is not accurate. They're not going off a list. Like, I'm sure they do have people on a list, but like, that is not what they're doing. So they are closing off areas, and they will go door to door, or they will close off a apartment building or a mobile home park, and they will go door to door trying to get people to answer. And they have done things like, in an apartment building, they will hit the fire alarm to try to get people to come out of their apartments. So like, they're just looking and they're like, oh, it looks kind of brown. And the reason why even people with work permits and people with green cards, why they're so scared, like why we're bringing them groceries and that kind of thing, is they will grab people. Oftentimes people are saying, like, I'm legal, I have my cards, I have my documents, and they will tell them, I don't care. I don't care. And you'll hear it in video and after video, and they were telling him, I don't care. I don't care. And so they take him away. They take him to one of the buildings in Minneapolis, and then they may check, they may not check for documentation. But within 12 hours, they're in Texas. Like, they just ship them to Texas. So like, we have people that get shipped to Texas. It takes a few days for people to get their documents there, that type of thing, and prove that they're here legally. And then they'll let them out in Texas with nothing, no phone, no wallet. They dump them out in Texas. And then they have to figure out how to get back to Minnesota. So, like, that's really goddamn terrifying to people. that you could just be going about your business and all of a sudden you're in Texas and you're dumped out on a street and you don't know where the hell. Some people are being picked up. They get really roughed up. I mean, they beat the hell out of them. Like, you're seeing people like their eyes swollen shut, all this kind of crap. And then they're like, oh, it's a U.S. citizen, because like, not even naturalized, is a U.S. citizen. And they will dump them out in a park miles away. Now, keep in mind, the temperature here has been like a negative 23 degrees at night. So yeah, there's a lot of reason why people are worried and people are scared. So are there checkpoints? Yes. Are you getting past a checkpoint? No, you're not. Like, you are not. They will ram your car. They will, at a moment's notice, shatter your windows and yank you out. So the level of violence that I'm talking about, just understand, if it comes to your area, and I don't know if it will be that bad in your area. I mean, it is this horrific here because we have like 3,300 plus agents here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but just understand what this is like.
I think part of the reason that they haven't gone to inside the perimeter in Atlanta yet is that to live in Atlanta, you pretty much have to be armed. It is not the safest place to walk. And so I think that they're going to encounter more resistance there from people who are going to shoot back. And so I think they know that. I think they're going to prey on the people who are outside of the city as long as they can to create that fear. Because I mean, you know, we've talked about it on other LPA shows, not necessarily solidarity streams, lots of times, that this is a shock and awe thing. This is an attempt to take power. This is an attempt for the government to say, not only will you not be able to stop us, but if you do try to stop us, we'll hurt or kill you. So it's a sit down, shut up, and what we give you is what we give you, which is libertarians. That's not an option. You know, we don't understand that logic. You're not going to scare me into compliance. You're just going to make me more angry.
Yes.
And exactly. You know, you kind of took a step back from the Libertarian Party, not from the party overall, but from some of the things with National and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes, they fired me because I would not kiss the ring.
Right.
I'll be clear about that.
There is a reason we wanted you to be on LPA streams before. I don't know how much you know about us. We started not as an anti-MC group. There are former MC people who are with LPA. There's still a few people that are current MC with LPA, but they're not Angela McArdle's sycophants. They're not people that are going to bow down to Michael Heiss. And that's kind of the thing, is we think that libertarians have to find, and I'm stealing Amanda's language here, and I'm letting it ride, but you have to find the solidarity between everybody. Not this unity concept that's been thrown around that we all have to be the same, but the things where we do agree and we have to fight together on those. And I honestly think that any libertarian that can't look at what's going on with ICE right now should go look in the mirror and realize they're not a libertarian.
Yes.
This is the point that we've been preaching about for 50 years. This is the fascist state attempt right now. This is where it's mask off. Yeah.
It is pure naked aggression.
Yeah.
And it is trying to get people used to seeing basically military in the streets. And I know it's federal agents, not technically military, but they are dressing like military, behaving like military, right? And they're, and not even like they're behaving like military that is in urban warfare in another country, right? So They want us to be used to that. They want us to be used to the whole papers, please. They did that whole push to make everyone go to Real ID. There's no effing way I was going to do that.
Yeah, thank you.
Now, like, they just flat out say Real ID is not proof. Like, they will not accept Real ID as any type of proof. So,
Georgia went over to Real ID in the
it's
mid
laughable.
2015 era. So I've had a Real ID for over a decade, and I didn't have a way around it. But I am envious of both of you.
I still don't even have an updated passport. I'm just going on, they hand me the little red slip at the airport every month, twice a month, I guess, because I fly there. I fly to DC and back. And the security guys know me. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Did you know from the start that you wanted to be involved in these, you want to call it neighborhood watch, call it protests, demonstrations, different ones, when they came, or when ICE came into the area? How quick was that response from you?
Very.
Okay.
I had already been seeing what was going on. Like, I was already seeing what was going on in other cities, and I was already seeing what was happening to a much less degree, but already in Minnesota, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't like it. Like, I'm not for it. I'm not for any of this crap that they're doing. And so the first thing that I started to do is and when I heard that they were going to ramp up and have a lot of agents coming, first thing I did was I looked for, since I'm in city council, I looked for like crisis scenarios and policy positions for local units of government, right? And I'm like, well, someone has to have that. Someone has to have already made that, right? No one had made it. And so I contacted, we're part of League of Cities, National League of Cities, contacted them. No, they had absolutely nothing. They hadn't even really been thinking about it. I started to talk to other city council members and say, well, are you doing the what ifs? Like, we do what ifs for every kind of scenario. Are you starting to do those? Like, what are your policies going to be? No, and people were just saying, I'm just gonna hope it doesn't happen in my city. I'm just gonna hope it doesn't. I'm like, fuck, people, we cannot do this. So I made it. I made the document, and then in early November when I went to National League of Cities, then I presented that and got it out to as many other city council members across the country as I could, and asked them, what are you doing? Put your policy ideas on there. We have to start really thinking about this. And then it did get councils across the country and in Minnesota and my council to start working with staff to say, these are the scenarios, and these are not hypotheticals. These are actual situations that have happened in cities. So what is our response if this happens in our city? And so we started to work on that. So I did the policy side, but then I'm also going to do the direct action and activist side of it as well. And so, yeah, I was in it pretty quick, and I kind of joked with my chief, well, make sure you have the scenario ready for when I'm arrested, because it's my poor chief is just like, oh God, because but yeah, so I immediately I was pushing to do absolutely everything I could in every way I could.
Got it. I assume that there are things from that we could probably disseminate as well if you wanted to get together after this to talk about it.
Absolutely. It's an open document, and I can share it with you. So
it'd be fantastic. Yeah.
Cool. We can also republish on The Torch, which is a libertarian movement journal that is kind of Amanda's the editor-in-chief of, and is not bragging about at the moment, which she should.
Because I reject the title chief, so that's why.
She's editor in solidarity.
Editor and anarchist warlord. But there we go. I'll take that. You mentioned before that as libertarians, a lot of us have done demonstrations, a lot of us have done direct action, so we've seen some things. Is there anything in particular that's really surprised you about what you've witnessed from some of these? You talked a little bit about it earlier, about some of the things that people should be prepared for, but is there anything that's really been surprising?
The sheer amount of tear gas and mace. I have never seen anything like this. It is early, frequent, constant. They'll hit you again right as they're leaving. People need to be ready for that, just the sheer amount. The other thing is I found a canister of a particular type of tear gas, and it's hex. It used to be used by the military. The military stopped using it because it's so damn corrosive and dangerous. Permanent liver injuries, like it is seriously bad crap. And
I know that that Bovino deployed Adam's site.
Yes.
The green gas from him, which is real nasty shit.
It is. So and even if you've been tear gassed before or maced or that kind of stuff, I mean, again, the level of it, you need to have a really good respirator. So if you're going to be part of a protest, I'm telling you right now, you need to have a really good respirator, and you've got to have goggles. Like, these are non-negotiable.
For those interested, we actually intend to do a stream soon on this kind of stuff.
Yes.
How to choose your PAPR, how to choose your CBurn if you're going to the gas mask, what kind of things to cover your eyes with. We're going to do an entire stream on that and give information out to folks.
Yeah, because they will take and even the mace, like they have those in their it's for using on a crowd, right? And you're supposed to be like 8 feet back, and it's for like long distance really macing. There's those huge cans of mace, right? But what they're doing is they will walk right up to you and they will do this. If you are trying to drive into an area where you are following ICE to document, they will spray it into your car intake. They will break your window and they will throw gas in your car. I have, like, if people were telling me a few months ago that this would be what was happening, I would have told them that I don't believe it. Like, I wouldn't have believed it. And what we're seeing and experiencing is, I mean, I can't stress it enough. It is nothing. I don't care how experienced of a protester you are. This is nothing you've ever experienced.
If you'd be willing to write up a thing about your experience, we would love to have it. We'd love to have it, because some people don't want to watch the video and
Sure.
most of the things. And so we could do an article, and so I'm bringing up the torch again.
As well as like advice on equipment and things. I think there are a lot of folks who are, I think, rightly nervous and want to make sure that they have the right gear.
Yes. Burner phone.
Yes. Yeah. And,
Not bring your phone.
Faraday bag, things like that.
And don't get a cheap Faraday bag.
Not like $20 on Amazon. Yeah.
$2, don't get it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, like, definitely do a burner phone. Like, so they are doing things where you'll be out. People will all of a sudden notice their phones just flat out don't work. You can't record. You can't do anything. They're deploying sound weapons now, and they're openly deploying the sound cannons. And so people need to understand that, like, when they're deploying the sound cannon, don't run away, run to the side, right? I mean, here we are talking about the type of gas you're going to face and sound cannons.
As a pro tip on those sound cannons, they're very directional.
Yes.
And so if you take anything that's like hard plastic and you have it so that it's like a half a barrel, basically, like a riot shield backwards, you can direct that sound right back at them. So,
and keep in mind that it's not just the high frequency sound cannons that they're doing the low frequency as well. The higher frequency ones, like you could do things like where your pew pew ear protections, right? But for low frequency, that does not work.
Right.
God, this is
so
nuts.
the gas that was, it's insane. It's wild to so I got into the movement in 2000 because of Harry Brown. And some of the things that were talked about by Harry Brown that made some non-libertarians very angry with 9/11 and everything else.
Yeah.
He was saying that this is what's going to eventually come because the imperialist policy is going to eventually come back on the people. And it's exactly what we're seeing. And it really sucks when someone who's got a scenario that's that dire turns out to be right.
And I see there's a comment that says, I believe this whole mess is limited Minnesota only. No, it's not. These same type of things we're seeing in Chicago and many other
LA.
cities.
They're in LA and they're in Maine, right? Like, I mean, like that you can talk about
Maine.
I've lived in LA, I've lived in Chicago, I've lived in DC. So I know that those are cities that a lot of people think are full of terrible communists. But like in Maine, okay, they're doing this. They're going down. Kyle's laughing. It's like, well, I mean, you living there kind of proves the point. But they're going down to Georgia to do this. So it's not just limited to Minnesota. I think Minnesota made a good target for deploying a lot of this resistance for a number.
They want our voter file.
Yeah.
That's literally it. The
Talk a
reason
little
why
bit
they're
about
here is so, they broke this story about fraud, which we do. Like anytime you have a one party rule in a state, like you're going to have shady crap happening. That's absolutely happening. Yes, there's absolutely money going to, like fake organizations that then gets funneled right back to politicians. Absolutely. But they jumped onto that and they've been trying to pressure states to give their voter file, right? And California refused, and then they went to court, and the court said, no, you don't get their voter file. Oregon did the same. So they're trying to use force now because one of the requirements, and there was only 3, but the main requirement for removing the agents from Minnesota is that we hand over our voter file. Because Trump has said that he has won Minnesota 3 times, but because of all of our fraud, that's why he didn't win. Bitch, we didn't even vote for Reagan. Like, no, there's like 0 chance. And I know, states, they're all like, oh, this state has commies. No, we have actual commies. Like our Democratic Party is Democratic farmers and laborers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, 2 of those were communist parties. Like legit.
They never liked the farmers. No, I'm just saying that right now. Like that.
Tommy, right?
They never liked the farmers. That was But
so
sorry.
That's what this is about. So when they're saying, oh, well, if you just hand over your voter file, we'll remove the agents. This has nothing to do with immigration.
If you look at all the cities they're targeting too,
they're
all ones that Trump has said are problems. The shit with Atlanta just happened where Trump has been going on that over 500,000 votes were fake in Atlanta, which is not what they found. It's not what happened. Hey, my light's back. That was neat. Thanks, Ghost. The thing that actually happened was they weren't properly signed off on, which is a bureaucratic problem, not a voter fraud problem.
Right.
but they fought Trump, and so ICE is coming.
Yes.
LA was a big problem for Trump. California is always a big problem for Trump. ICE
I don't see how California is a big problem for Trump. I feel like any Republican can bet on losing California.
Yeah.
Like, California is not a swing state. California is
We
not a
know
problem.
for a fact he does not know how to bet with his number of bankruptcies.
Okay, fair. Like, yeah, is Maine just the same way? That I guess they're...
Maine is that state that stood up to him up front.
Yeah.
The governor of Maine came out and she was like, "We will not be following this." And they're like, "Then we're gonna cut your funding and everything else." And she was like, "Do it, and we'll see you in court." And so they're being made a
It's also why they're starting to
example
shift
of it.
agents to Virginia. Same thing.
Yep.
Virginia got a new governor. Immediately, she changed policies, and yep, they're starting to send them there. And and I'm kind of laughing because like there's a comment, "Oh, teaching equipment to bring to a protest is a good way to get on a terrorist watch list." Joke's on you. We're already on that
You're already
list.
on the watch list. Yeah.
And I'm not kidding. Like
Yeah.
when they're doing that facial recognition, they're telling you that they are labeling you a domestic terrorist and you're going into a domestic terrorist watch list. And that's if you are attending a protest, really if they have any interaction with you whatsoever. Like you could literally just be standing there, and that's what they're doing. So already
and
there.
usually, like, occasionally we'll get
terrorist
people...
in this case just means not MAGA.
Yeah, well, and occasionally we'll get people who comment and are either are on some level of trolling from just being contrarian to actually outright trolling. So a lot of times we don't. But I think this is important because you are correct that, like if you identify as an anarchist, you're already on the watch list. If you identify as a libertarian, you're probably on some kind of list, or at least somewhat people know who you are. But I also, being on a list should not be a reason not to exercise your rights. There is a right to petition for redress of grievances. There's a right of assembly. There's a right of expression and association. And so me saying, well, if I exercise those rights, someone might get mad at me. That's exactly the time when you should be exercising those rights, because that's the time when they're most threatened and they most want you to be afraid.
Correct. And fear is what they want. Fear is the tool for control. And, one thing I'm really proud of my state on is that everyone has hung tough. I mean, people here have hung tough under unbelievable circumstances, and they have engaged in nonviolent protest. I mean, that has been the overwhelming thing that has been going on. And, like I did a quick calculation just in my town. I'm in a suburb of the Twin Cities, right? We're not a bedroom suburb. We are a city. Mm-hmm. And we have 64,000 people, so about 49,000 adults. And so I calculated, okay, well, if we have about 1,500 people who are actively engaged in like some high level activism, right? So that means they're watching or recording ICE, they are delivering groceries, they are walking kids, they are attending, a protest in god awful, unbelievably cold weather where, a lot of frostbite's happening. I'm just telling you. So that's not just like, oh, I voted or I gave a couple bucks or, like incredible high intensity activism, right? So that's a different category. And so I extrapolated, okay, well, then you have that high intensity support. So what is the, the surrounding support? Okay, well, we're looking at well over 60%. And that's not people who are like, oh, I kind of sort of think that. That's people who are like, yes, right?
Yeah.
And that's all through here. So people here, and it's not just left, it's independents. We have the soft R's are starting to come over as well, are really getting active and engaged and involved in this. So I'm really proud of how they're living that ethic of taking care of their neighbor. Like people are, and which is another thing we talk about. Oh, charitable action, right? Without government involvement. You don't have to steal people's money people are paying each other's rent because people can't go to work because if they step out of their house, they'll be nabbed, right? So people are paying each other's rent, taking people to doctor's appointment, driving people to and from work every day. They are swapping cars with people. I mean, the level of neighborliness that is happening is, actually that's very heartening. So
it's a beautiful time for mutual aid. And again, it's a libertarian moment in that way too. A time to, we talk a lot on these streams. I think Kyle and I are more adamant about the in-your-face direct action piece, but there is something incredibly important and necessary about buying the groceries, switching to cars, doing carpools. And we don't want to minimize that because without that, then you don't have the mutual aid piece that is so essential. So if there are people who, for whatever reason, are not able to be out there in gear, fighting the tear gas directly, do the grocery runs. And that's the kind of thing that is, again, immediately going to help people.
Absolutely.
Rob, I'll join your carpool anytime.
But there's absolutely things you can do, and there's people who, because of their health, right, they just cannot go out into this. They cannot. There are things you can do. There's definitely so many things you can do. Churches are taking a lead in really organizing things. Parents are arranging play dates, right? Because a lot of these kids haven't been outside of their home for, close to 2 months now. And so parents are arranging play dates where they bring their kids over to their house so that the kids are able to play. People are buying board games and things like that, and giving them to people who are, kind of in their homes. Other people no, they can't go out and march, but you know what? They can buy respirators. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So there are a ton of things that people can do to help, and everyone needs to help. So organize, get organized. I'm telling you right now, do not wait. Do not have this forced on you in a hothouse condition.
If there's a state affiliate or a local affiliate or just a group of people who want to get organized, how do they start doing that?
So some of the ways that you can do it is the 50501 groups are helping with a little bit of training. And keep in mind, some of these are some lefty groups, but whatever. Latino Voices is another one that is really helping. There's ACLU is doing trainings for observers, right? If you start looking for groups and you contact one of them, they're going to help you and connect you to other people too.
And I think that is where it's important too again, this is where states and local affiliates can step up, because any libertarians that we have there on the scene are great. An organized group of libertarians can, again, really push back against that noise that we're getting from people who really, really want the libertarians to be hypocrites in this situation. And there are a lot of those. Some of them are even libertarians, or call themselves that. So this is a fantastic way to push back against it, to have a local affiliate libertarians get organized and be helping out.
Yes. And okay, so if you have mentioned in your local Facebook group, hey, is there a Signal group? And if there's not, okay, make one. You make one. You make one.
Yeah.
So I saw that someone scanned our QR code just a second ago, which is a link to support LP Alliance. LP Alliance is doing a big push right now, where we're trying to pay for 100 Povertarians to get to Grand Rapids.
Nice.
And so,
That's
obviously
where
we
your
really
money goes.
appreciate.
Overscan that.
Yes. We were of the opinion that Povertarians who spend their time working for the LP should get just as much of a voice at national as anybody who has the money to spend. And so we are trying to make sure that we have enough money in that fund to make sure 100 people at least can get to Grand Rapids and make their voice heard. So there's so many ways to be part of this libertarian movement. The Democrats think of the movement going on like in Minneapolis and fighting ICE as a Democrat movement, but they're full of shit. If you look at what the Democrats have stood for, it's nothing. This is a thing that's actually fighting back against the government. This is what libertarianism looks like.
Yes.
This is what the party needs to be pushing. We've talked about before that on the activism, the concept that the party needs to be backing activism. Mises Caucus wasn't wrong on that fact. The thing they were wrong about was the idea that we don't have any candidates. The idea that the activism needs to basically be only what Republicans tell us to do.
Exactly.
Those sorts of things. So we've, if you want a way to get in touch with some of these groups, LPA is in touch with some of them will help. I'm sure Cara doesn't want her world flooded, but we can certainly pass questions along to her too. Does anyone who's in the audience have any questions? Cara, is there anything else you want to add? Amanda, do you have any more questions, or are we kind of?
I could keep talking all night. I'm looking forward to. I know I really could, and I'm looking forward to Cara's piece and just advice on people who are getting involved in these. So I will eagerly await that. And please do send that to me. I'll share my email after we're off, and send that over.
For those who don't know, because Cara didn't brag on herself nearly as much as she could have, I promise. All the materials the Libertarian Party is still giving out for how to do candidate support, that comes from Cara. Even the stuff where Michael Heist did his tour, that came from Cara. This is in fact the person who has figured this out and has been working so hard for the party. And that's exactly why, people like Cara are exactly why I wanted so heavily to be part of LPA. Because when I hear that people who've done so much like Cara, Jen Moore out of Pennsylvania, Whitney Bilyeu, people all across the country who have been really huge in this movement have been forced out of it. And every one of them you talk to is I went toe-to-toe with the government. I went toe-to-toe with this attack on the party. I went toe-to-toe, and no one stood with me. It's broken. And so we can never again allow something like that to happen. So LPA's purpose is to make sure that libertarians are supported by each other. Libertarians are working together. And in the event that anyone attacks the libertarian movement anywhere, because as we've talked about, we're working with the IALP at this point. We're working internationally. This is an international movement. We're going to be there, and we're going to help make sure that, no one has to be afraid and alone ever again.
You were talking, Cara, about, make your own signal group if there isn't one. And that's really kind of how LP Alliance started. We have Phil, who's just asked a question now, who, a lot of this was an initial small group of us. And Phil, with the help of Devin, made a Discord group. And that was how things started. There were a few people who kind of trickled in initially, and then things just grew. Phil says, what does Cara want to see as justice after this is all over?
Boy, that's a hard one. I would like for Republicans and Democrats to stop using immigration as a wedge issue that they can fundraise off of, because it is taking people's lives, and it is utterly disgustingly cruel. So, I have my fantasy land thing of where, fuck your borders. But what I'm looking for realistically is, we need to acknowledge that we want free movement of people, goods, ideas, right? Capital. So it needs to be very easy for if someone wants to work here to come here, work, and go home. Because there is a lot of people that they don't want to live in the United States. They have family, friends, all that kind of stuff back home, and they can work here and go back home, and they'll do that for a few months out of the year and go back home. And there should not be a problem with that. Like people should be able to freely go back and forth with that. And then there are people that want to come here and they do want to become citizens. And so, like a 6-port Ellis Island, right? Where it's very simple, very quick. Those are the type of policy things, but for justice, and I'm not a big one for throwing people in cages. However, when you cause so much misery and harm, direct harm to people, there needs to be an accounting. And I absolutely would love to see the architects of this, which is Miller and Nolman and all of them. I don't care if they're in a state-run cage, a federal-run cage, or if they're over in The Hague. I do not give a shit, but these people need to be in a cage.
Damn right. This is so weird. Like Rob and Free are in the chat, and they haven't asked questions or said anything, and they usually don't know how to stop talking. So you've kind of brought people to speechlessness, which is always a good thing. Amanda, like I can come up with questions of things, but if you have questions, just keep asking, and it's fine.
I don't have specific questions further. I think that the main things that I wanted to get were how did you get started in this? What are things that people need to know? How do people build these ecosystems, right? When it comes to figuring out how to help, because I think that's actually a big problem. A lot of people want to do something and are looking around like, where do I go? What do I do? And so that was another question that I had for you. And you're saying that there are groups that are helping, and then there are also like start your own group, right?
Yes.
So those were my big ones. What?
Rob?
Oh.
Cara, can you teach Amanda how to have feelings?
Cara hasn't gotten acquainted with me, so she thinks that you're being mean. Rob was actually complimenting me just then. So, yeah. That's fair. I have feelings for the revolution, and that's about it. It keeps me from getting bogged down by feelings for individual people. No, those. Those are my chief questions. So yeah, I think we've covered a lot of it. Is there anything that we didn't get to that we really should have asked about, or that you really want to share?
Just that the complexity of all of this has a lot of people paralyzed, and both the overwhelming amount of information and yet lack of clear information, the deliberate attempts to muddy information. You see a lot of AI and things like that, and that's to make it so that people don't believe anything, right? So we have to have a little discernment on these things, but when we're looking at these cases, and so many people are dismissing what's happening because you get if people just came here legally. Many of these people are legal, have come here legally, right? They got their government stamp. But what the government is doing is just with a wholesale flick, just taking entire categories of people with legal status and saying, we're just stripping you of that, and without any due process whatsoever. And it's not looking at you as an individual. We're just doing these huge groups, and we're just flicking this switch and doing that. And I think people have had this idea that some other form of government is going to save us.
Yeah.
Which we know as libertarians, we're like, yeah, they're gonna fuck you first.
The one thing that like people like just get an injunction, just call your congressman.
Right.
I want to scream. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the courts have been slow, especially Supreme Court, because the Supreme Court doesn't want to have their rulings ignored. And the administration signaled immediately that they were going to just ignore court rulings. And so that made every court back off, right? Every court backed off. But now courts are starting to figure that they need to actually do something. And so we're seeing the majority of arrests that are happening in Minnesota are being overturned in courts. So it's becoming a deluge. And I'm going to enjoy this for the next few years because the number of lawsuits, even though they probably will not win, from people who were flat out had their rights violated and were harmed, they're probably not going to win, but they are going to tie these people up for the rest of their lives. And I hope they enjoy every second of it.
I think it's a weird stalemate, right? Because we're saying that they don't have any enforcement capacity. Nobody has enforcement capacity, right? The courts don't have enforcement capacity. ICE doesn't really have enforcement capacity, but they can do something terrible to you. And then the courts can say that was terrible. And then ICE can go ahead and not have any action enforced against them. So there's this weird kind of lawlessness stalemate where...
Lawless is the perfect word.
Yeah.
What we're seeing is lawlessness. So even like all your law and order people, it's about lawlessness.
Yeah.
The other thing that is very deliberate is they're trying to rip communities apart. They're trying to make people fight one another, like so that we all fight each other, right? Government's good at that. But they're also trying to, and you guys will laugh at a libertarian making this argument, but we do have institutions in our communities, right? You know, you have your local government and you have your local police and all that kind of stuff. And they are successfully working hard to make residents hate their local government, not for the reason that you should, but for this reason, and also hate the police as well. We're seeing far more cop hate from the right now. We're not seeing very much from the left. The left is actually understanding that our police are in situations where they literally can't intervene. And if they do, it's playing into Trump's hands, right? Because he wants the Insurrection Act. But the people on the right are viciously angry that our police are not acting like slave catchers. I've never seen this vicious of cop hate, and it's all coming from the right.
Phil actually has an interesting question, which is, have federal informants or infiltrations been an issue at all?
No, because everyone knows. Like, you just know. Like, you just know the feds are there. They're, like, looking at all your shit. You're not doing anything illegal, so screw off. And as much as they want to say, like, you standing there and filming is impeding or you following them is impeding, it is not. It is not. Take it to court. It's going to be thrown out. Yes, your car will be smashed. And yes, they absolutely, they do pit maneuvers all the frickin' time. And they will do a pit maneuver. They will also strike you from the back and drive you into light poles. Like they're looking to get you. But none of that is impeding. So people are doing legal activities. So no, the feds can infiltrate all they want, and they can sit through the agony of a Signal chat where 7 people have all said, "Shut up, you're in the wrong chat." So have fun with that.
I think that ending with a dark humor bit of one of the LPA posts here is probably the way to go. So, as always, thank you, Cara, and if you'll stay around afterward for the show, we'd love to talk to you for a minute.
Sure.
But we will end with the libertarian response to those who are hoping that the government's going to save us, which is, just remember, just wait till the next election. We're going to vote you guys out of office so hard. And we'll be back tomorrow night for the business list to give you your weekly news. Catch everybody soon.